Does this look familiar to you? Have you ever thrown away hours of your life agonizing over a blank page? Staring out the window, scratching your head, waiting for inspiration, then finally an idea hits you. You start writing something. 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. The beginning of your story. The first chapter. The hook that's going to capture your reader's attention and turn you into a best-selling author. You think to yourself, maybe that wasn't so hard after all. But then you go back and read it. Don't worry, you're not alone. I get it. You're disgusted with your first chapter. No matter how many times you tweak it and revise it, you're still not happy with it. Correction, you hate it. You want to burn it and dance on the ashes while you cry. But what if I told you that writing doesn't have to be like this? What if I told you that there is an exact scientific formula for capturing your reader's attention on page 1? What if I told you there is a way to make your reader care about your character the moment you introduce them? That seems impossible. How can there be a scientific formula for that? Don't you just have to be like a really talented writer? No, absolutely not. Are you kidding? This isn't about talent. This isn't even about writing, actually. It's about brain science. Our attention is caught all the time, every day, by millions of pieces of information. In fact, your brain processes about 11 million bits of information per second. But guess how many of those bits of information never make it to your conscious mind? 10,999,960. That seems like a lot of information to not be aware of. Who the heck authorized this decision? Your subconscious mind. Why? Because there are only about 40 bits of information or less that really matter to you at the moment. So the subconscious mind brushes the rest aside and says, TMI. This is the only way we can navigate life without losing our mind. So why am I telling you all this? Because you have to understand how your reader's brain works if you want to write something that sneaks past their extremely strict subconscious and tells them, hey, this matters to you. That's what captures our attention. Yeah, sure, all kinds of stuff distracts us all day, every day, grabbing our attention momentarily. But what really captures our attention and holds it? What keeps a person reading? What is it that pulls you into a story? Why do you need to know what happens next? Writers have been asking themselves these questions forever, trying to uncover that secret ingredient. But most writers miss the secret ingredient because they don't look to brain science for the answer. And that's why a lot of stories suck. But if we look at the psychology of your reader and say, okay, in order to hold their attention, it has to be something that matters to them, then we hit on the real question that you have to ask yourself about your story. Why does it matter? Most writers don't know the answer to that question. They don't know it before they write their story. They don't know it after they write their story. And that's why their first chapter sucks. That's why their whole story sucks. Because what makes us care about the plot of your story is knowing why what happens matters to the characters. If we don't know why it matters to them, we don't know why it matters to us. And our attention is lost. It does not matter how much action or peril or exciting stuff you have happening at the beginning of your story. All that stuff is just external conflict. And without internal conflict, external conflict is meaningless. What is internal conflict? Desire clashing with fear. That's it. That's literally it. Your character wants something, but their fear is stopping them from going after it. And both their desire and their fear are rooted in a misbelief, a lie that they believe is true about themselves and about the world. If your first chapter sucks, it's because there is no internal conflict. We don't know why what's happening matters to the characters. Therefore, it doesn't matter to us. Therefore, it doesn't hold our attention. It's one of those things that the subconscious shoves out the door like TMI. Science. Okay, Abby, but how do I include all of this internal conflict in chapter 1? How do I actually show my reader why what's happening matters to the protagonist? How do I even find out what matters to the protagonist? Start by asking yourself the right questions. How is my protagonist dissatisfied with their life? What does my protagonist think will bring them true happiness or contentment? What actionable step could they take to turn their dream into a reality? How has their fear kept them from taking this action already? The answers to all of those questions should be obvious to your reader in the first chapter of your story. I'm not saying that you can't open your story with some exciting external event happening to your protagonist. You absolutely can do that. In fact, do that. Go for it. Catch our attention. But remember, there's only one way to hold our attention: showing us why it matters. So figure that out. Ask yourself the right questions. Weave the answers into your first chapter. Show the reader why they should care. Throw away all of that contradictory advice that you've been deliberating over, and just remember this one thing. Internal conflict is the secret ingredient to capturing your reader's attention. When we know why it matters to the characters, we know why it matters to us. And when something matters to us, we pay close attention to it. I speak from experience when I say this formula works. I use it for every story I write. And I used it when I wrote my debut novel, 100 Days of Sunlight. So don't take my word for it. Look at what my readers have to say. I suffer from short attention spans and ridiculously high levels of taste, but I read the Look Inside preview and was hooked. I had to read more, and so I bought the book. I haven't bought a book in years. I was hooked from almost page 1. From the first 2 chapters, I found myself eager to get to know the characters and their story. I read this book all the way through in 24 hours because it's that good. It sucked me in instantly. I devoured most of it in a single sitting because I didn't want to put it down, and when I did actually have to set it down, I was thinking about it until I picked it back up. 100 Days of Sunlight drew me in instantly and connected with the characters in a way that few other books had. I couldn't put it down once I started reading. I finished it in one sitting. I just couldn't put it down. I obviously did something, right? And that something is no mystery. Okay, it's not my talent. It's a fundamental rule of psychology. It's a scientifically proven formula. It's internal conflict. That's it. So go forth and write your first chapter. And if you've already written it, write it again. It might not come out perfect right away, but don't let that hold you back. Don't let that voice of fear in your head hold you back. In fact, my last piece of advice to you would be attack it. Just attack the blank page. Charge like an army into battle and destroy that thing like a beast. Stop deliberating and theorizing over the best way to do it. Just do it. At the end of the day, you won't regret what you wrote. You'll regret what you didn't write. If you want to grab my free writing templates, including the internal conflict questions that I listed earlier, the link is right below this video. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because I post writing videos like this one every single Wednesday, and I would love to have you here in the community. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon, because that's where we go beyond videos and take storytelling to the next level. The Patreon community is not only the best way to support what I'm doing here on YouTube, but it's also the only way to connect one-on-one with me and get better guidance on your story. So go to patreon.com/Abby Emmons and check out all the exclusive content that I have over there for you. Until next week, my friend, rock on.